Brian Harris with AttorneyFee. The purpose of these videos is actually to educate some of our lawyers and some of the law firms that we work with. To give you a little bit of a background on AttorneyFee and what we do, we actually work with attorneys and law firms on a national level, depending on the practice area broken up by geographic location, to actually help build and scale some of their practice areas. One of the things that we focus on is actually connecting the consumer with the law firm in order to make sure that that individual gets help with their legal situation or need. One of the reasons that we're putting these videos together is because throughout our experience and the things that we've learned from attorneys and working with the law firms that we work with today is we've basically come to realize that a lot of attorneys are very good at practicing law, and you learn a lot of different things in law school, but one of the things that you don't learn is part of the intake processes, the follow-up and retention, and closing the deal, and actual business side of things. So one of the things that I want to do is actually educate the attorneys and clients that we work with to try and keep the retention process as high as possible and build your practice out as effectively as we can. And basically, with the number of different attorneys and firms that we work with, at this point, it's about 480 firms throughout the entire country. So we've been exposed to a lot of different systems and practices, and one of the goals that I have here is always to educate and help my clients retain as many potential people that need help with their legal situation as possible. And I've been exposed to a lot of different practice areas and a lot of different firms. Some of them, individuals that are running around and trying to do everything from their cell phone, working out of their car and satellite offices, as well as their home office. But then on the flip side, we also work with firms that are some of the largest consumer bankruptcy and largest personal injury firms in the entire world. One of the clients that we work with, we've had the privilege to actually get an idea of exactly what their process is, and what we want to do is educate you as much as we possibly can to keep the retention as high as possible. So with these videos, we're going to walk through a number of different steps and things like that that we've learned from the firms that we've worked with as far as what is the most successful and effective. With AttorneyFee overall, what we do is we actually help educate the lawyers as far as retaining clients and getting them in the door, and then we also connect the individuals looking for legal expertise and getting in touch with a lawyer through our systems. And basically one of the ways that we do that is through one of our marketing cooperatives and campaigns that we run with the attorneys and lawyers that we work with. Basically, one of the things that we want to touch on is the intake process. The next thing we want to touch on is the follow-up and retention process using CRMs and making sure that you get people in the door. And then again, closing the deal, asking for the sale and making sure that they do end up retaining you for your services. We'll go through a series of videos to make sure that you have the tools necessary in order to keep your retention as high as possible. Just to give you a little background on myself, for the last 10 years I've been doing legal consulting. You're probably wondering and thinking to yourself, what makes this guy an expert in the field? And one of the things that I can tell you is I'm always learning, and I'm humbled by the opportunities that I have with the partnerships that I have and the lawyers that I get to work with on a day-to-day basis. But one of the things that I absolutely love, and I guess what makes me an expert in the field and why I consider myself somebody that has a good understanding of the legal system from both sides, is that over the last 10 years, by working with 480 firms, I've been able to see the most successful processes to the systems that aren't as successful. And one of the things that I challenge every attorney to do on a daily basis, whether or not I ended up working with them, is to put these systems in place in order to keep their retention as high as possible. So we're going to go through a couple things, like I said, one of them being the intake process and how you need to answer the phone and how your secretary should be answering the phone, as well as following up with that individual to get them back in the door and then closing the deal. So it'll be a 3-part video, and we'll also have more tools coming, but to start off, those are the 3 areas that we're going to focus on. Now, one of the biggest processes that's actually one of the most important in terms of retaining a client and actually getting them into the door is initially, right away, whoever answers the phone, you need to make sure that they understand exactly what it is that you do on a daily basis and how you can help the consumer in terms of their legal situation or need. And then from there, getting their information in order to be able to follow up with them. So we'll start with the intake process. Now, initially, a lot of attorneys and firms that I've worked with over the years, they answer the phone in a number of different ways. They might say law office of Brian Harris, they might say law office, they might say hello. The best thing, it doesn't really matter what your introduction is, but to make sure that obviously that individual that's reached out to you and is looking for legal assistance, that you make sure that you connect with them and that you get good information from them. So we're going to do a mock role play as far as the intake process and what your staff should be doing immediately as far as the intake and answering the phone. And whether you don't have any staff or if it's just you answering your phone and running around, you need to make sure that you go through these systems in order to make sure that you get the client in and they retain you. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. You're not in the business of branding your firm, marketing and things like that. You're in the business of making money and helping people out with their legal situations. And I know for a fact that if you put these systems in place, you'll see at least a 5 to 10% increase in your business overall. So one of the things we're going to do, like I said, is a mock role play for the intake process, okay?